Alright, for our tool spotlight series, the oscillating tool. It oscillates. It vibrates. You get it. A lot of noise. I can vary the vibration oscillation. I can also just flip this lever up, hand loosen that. Retaining screw, and I can clock the blade to any point. This is asinine, but all the way to over here, all the way around to the other side, and I can lock it back down to move the rest of the body of the tool out of the way of my work. You know, if I need to work, it's going to be difficult to. If I'm trying to work in a space over here, and the rest of my tools crashing into a known obstacle, I can clock the blade so that I'm still coming at the work with the blade in the same fashion, but now the body of my tool's out of my way. It's excellent. I just realized today I've had so many points throughout one day where this tool is an absolute necessity. I see AVE back in the day actually tore this specific Milwaukee one a new one. He just couldn't understand, you know, the dumbest tool, I think it's titled the video or something, who would ever use this. I actually responded on that a couple years ago and said, I love your channel and I know everything that you cover is almost always very comprehensive, but I don't know why he didn't understand how this tool works. But maybe this is for you, AVE, or for anybody else. To start with, we got to keep our washer and dryer water supply and drain elevation at a certain point. Let me change this intensity here. It's got to be at a certain point relative to the washing machine levels so that they function correctly, so that water evacuates, etc. And in this situation, based on the room, I can't, you can see in white, we have the machines. I can't shove them into the room any farther because they were crashing into the overhead plane here because of the A-frame. So the knee wall could only be this high maximum. And we're going to do drywall over this homosote, and this has a fascia plate, and I don't want to be too close to that inside corner or bring the fascia plate in and starting to run up and mash into the other plane here. So we have to be down from that intersection a minimum amount, maximum height. So I needed to tunnel into this top plate, which is already a long angled rip to accommodate the angled wall, but I needed to tunnel straight into there and make a pocket and right into the homosote as well. You can see some of the remnants. Where are they here? That's homosote material. What are you going to do? You're not going to get a circular saw to finish inside corners. You're not going to get a reciprocating saw to do anything besides go follow through right by what you're trying to remove and just hack, jab, stab, and go right out through here and into the deck of the roof and potentially poke a hole in that. You don't want to be concerned with any of that. You want to surgically make a pocket. That's what the oscillating tool will do. You can kind of use it like a lightsaber. It's not as elegant as a lightsaber, but when I push it in and rock it back and forth, I managed to just, like a guillotine blade, just push right straight back, push up, and I pulled that guy out of there. This penetration, the whole hog bit, did an excellent job going through the 2x4. It'll go through almost everything big, like a aggressive Forstner style. You can even use a hole saw. I have both, and they both were banging into this aspenite underlayment, which is 1/4 inch thick. It's a sawdust board. That saw's whole hog bit has a big screw tip on it that pulls the blade in, but when it gets into a sawdust board, that just strips out and it ceases to pull the cutter any more into the surface of the material. It just sits there spinning and spinning and spinning and just glancing off the top of this. And this is also full of glue. It's a lot harder than wood. It has no long fibers like real solid wood has for that screw to bite into and pull it in. So I was just hitting and I was all done. That was the end of it. So I had to reach in there with the oscillating tool, which in this case the hole was just big enough for that blade that I showed you. But I made pizza slices in that disc of 1/4 inch underlayment. And then I was able to grab the center of them with the cat's paw and rip them all up and bust them all out of there. Then I went right back to work with the hole saw, and we went zoom right down in there. That was second scenario that we made use of this super handy guy here today. So that 2 times we could have been totally screwed that we just kept moving. Third, whoops, you want to come into the bathroom here. It makes sense. Here's the door opening. You want to have a switch on your left. It doesn't make sense over here because we have a a fixture and a hand sink, and I don't want the switch centered over the hand sink. I want it to the left of it. I don't want it beyond over the toilet that goes in the corner. And this is a pocket door, and I don't want to have to open the door fully, reach around like an idiot. These are some human factors. So you want the switch right here. We got the vestibule here, bathroom here. But here's the cleat that goes the full, almost the full depth of the wall bay. Usually we have plenty of room in a wall bay like any of the others here. But there's a cleat because we moved the door outside. We moved the door over, and we made a siding repair with some pieces that had no registration to keep them all smooth, and to back them up tightly to use a little filler later or some caulking. So we had a cleat in here, and it's right where I want to be with a full depth box, and I don't want to have to go to the store and get a shallow box or this, that, the other thing necessarily. We were less stalled out here, but we certainly would have had to drop it for now or drop it and go get a different piece of equipment. So I went right in here, right in there, and took that slug out of there again with the cat's paw, popped him out. It's back in business with this scenario. So that's 3. And then completely unrelated once again, although we are doing systems, plumbing, and electrical equipment today. I was up here, this is the shower stall, and we have this nice poly beam that we're going to see a little bit of. It sticks down below the surface of the ceiling in the shower. It'll go right over your head in the shower, but this is where the exhaust fan is going to go. And I really want, in the rectangular surface of this ceiling, when you look up, I'd like the fan to be roundabout, and the light fixture that's part of it, I like stuff to be roundabout in the center. So this is essentially 16 inches by a certain dimension here, but to begin with I need to center that fan unit front to back, so I need to have a stringer going across here that I can attach the fan to, and it needs to be in a certain location to put the fan center line in this aspect, just where I want it. Then I'll slide up and down that stringer until I land the fan in this aspect on the center, and I'll pin him, and he'll be in here in the center place, or in the center point. But basically I put the center line for this cavity here, and then I measured the fan, and I added a mark for where the stringer needs to live, and boom! This rafter dead end was right in our way here. So I was able to come in with that little hacksaw and just saw through here to that point, so I have a cut to here, but now I need to cut this down and out without following through and slamming into this here. Enter oscillating tool once again. I just stuck the level, my short little bullet level, to the end of this cut and moved it till it was plumb, threw a line down there, and carefully sent the oscillating tool in just to the point where it bottomed out. I had to take off this little plywood pack. This ended up needing to be about 1/2 inch over from there, so the simplest thing to do was add 1/2 inch and pin it over to there. But he was a little long too, so I just cleaned him right off. And now when you come in with the stringer piece that I made, we can go right in there, and he comes right over here where he needs to be according to my marks right there, and ultimately he'll get attached, the fan will get attached, and we're back in business situation here. But all these things here are where you spend half an hour, 45 minutes, if you're talented, maybe at least 15. But a lot of guys will be in there for an hour and they'll make a mess of the tools that they're using, or if you're a homeowner and you're doing renovations, you're just gonna be head scratching. If you're in a battery system for a drill and a driver, somebody got you for Christmas, the typical handyman stuff, one of the very next things I suggest is that oscillating tool. Of course, I can't find it now. Here it is over there. But in fact, I have 2 of them. And I leave one set up with a fine woodworking tooth blade, and the other one set up with these. I'll actually touch on that. These, for renovating, incidentally, and because that tool is helpful for finish work as well. But I end up with Made in America. Not real big on that concept as a across the board, but these blades are, and they're excellent. Imperial, nail-eating, bimetal, TIN coated, and I believe there's carbide in there as well. But I can hit nails and screws and carefully go right through those. But this is a 3-pack, and it was probably more than 30 bucks, maybe closer to 40. But one of those blades will do me a job or two before I switch to the next one, unless I have a big incident where I didn't foresee some concrete, cement board or something, and I just, boom, it goes dull. But the blades you run are just as important as the tires that you run on your car in that way. But other than that, if you're on a battery system, like I say, and you want a couple other, you need a Sawzall, circular saw, like we're touching on with this series. You need some other things, drill, obviously. But that oscillating tool is like, I think that was $100 just for the tool with no battery, but super, super effective bang for the buck there for the amount of times that has rescued me. The kind of productivity and billable time I've been able to have for that investment is just huge. So other companies offer different utilities. I think DeWalt has a big spring thumb switch here. You just depress that and the blade's loose. You can clock it or take it out and change it, then you let it go and the spring holds it tension again. It's a little less fiddly than the Milwaukee. Of course, I'm all in the M18 system, so I live with this, but I may change this once a day, if that, so it's not a big concern. I love this beast. And you know, the battery bottom corner lands at the same plane as the cutter, so long as they're both touching as I move along, I know I'm following a surface. Just all kinds of great geometry here. It's a well-designed tool, but they do get kind of hot after a lot of use. So there you go. Oscillating tool is a must-have.